Welcome back to this little corner of the world. It's getting very close to Christmas, so I thought it would be about time for me to put up my Merry Christmas tree. And this is the Merry Christmas tree that I'm going to be putting up. There's no place in this house to put up a tree. There's no place in any corner of this house to put up a tree. So this is the only tree that I'm going to be able to put up. And that's what I'm going to put up. Also, I'm going to be putting up the blue version of this tree, which I think I have to find. I know it's here because I just had it. Um, I see it. I'm going to grab it. This is the newer version of the Merry Christmas in blue batik. This is the latest, absolute latest pattern that we've created. Evergreen is the name of this pattern. Um, this was the original. It came in the green batik, but it also came in a green retro dot. And then we released it in a blue batik. And this is what it looks like. I had to pull this one out because my version was an early one and it did not have the paper pattern in it. So that's why I confused myself today by having that one on the table. So this blue batik is going to be the version that I put up today. But one of the things that it makes me think of is being that it's a blue Christmas tree. Um, reminds me of Blue Christmas a little bit. And so I'm just going to say that this time of year, a lot of people are alone. And it would be nice for us. I know everybody is busy, and I'm certainly one of those very busy people. But I'm also one of those people that spend a lot of time alone. Uh, but I know a lot of people in my guild, particularly, live alone. My bestie, my very bestie, Quilter, she lost her husband. Um, oh my gosh, I don't even know how long they were together. A lifetime, I'm sure. Um, and so she does have children, but her children have so much going on. So I try and make sure that I check in on her. I I don't like just texting or emailing because you can't hear their voice. So you don't really know. It's too easy for them to send a text back and say everything's okay. But this is a great time of year to, if you can, make a phone call. Even better if you could stop by, maybe just with a fat quarter or something, and say, "Oh, this made me think of you." I will tell you a little story before we get started. My guild just started this crazy group called Classy Strippers, and I think I've talked about this once before. And what it's about is we're taking like jelly rolls and cake stacks and uh, the other little ones, anything that was pre-cut. And we're trying to go ahead and use up those pre-cuts because we all collect them, but we sometimes we don't use them. So we're already into our second. We meet every 2 months. We try and come up with a group pattern, but we don't have to use the group pattern. But we're trying to utilize those fabrics as a collective. We each make our own. But my bestie doesn't have a ton of those strips, and I had quite a few. So I opened my stash up to her to let her also pick what she wants because I have so many. But one of the things I've also done, and I'm going to talk about this in another video also, is that I started when I have some free time or when I just need a break. I started going through my fabric and just cutting 2.5 inch strips, just kind of as a pressure release gauge for me, you know, let off some of that steam. Um, and first, I just went through and I did um, ombre batiks, and I had over 74 different ombre batiks, just different colors. But I cut more than one strip, so I ended up cutting 6 sets of each one so that there would be plenty of strips to play with. So if you wanted to make a king size quilt, for instance, you could use 2 sets, and that would give you something like 148 strips. And then I also had some already pre-cuts from like Hoffman ombres with 20 packs. So that would give you 100, what was that, what did I say, 100, 168 strips. So that was the ombres. And then I started pulling out my Robin Pandoff. And I just picked the Christmas colors, red, green, and cream. And you'd be surprised how many strips of those I have already. And I'm not even halfway through that. So it's going to be a while before I get done. William Morris is next. So anyway, Um, we're going to be doing this lovely applique. I've already got my white fabric pre-cut. It's going to be just a simple white background. And I have my paper pattern already pressed. I always like to take the pattern out and hit it with a dry iron to get rid of the creases in the paper, because I don't want those creases in the paper to translate to the misplacement of a pattern piece. I'm going to open up my package and sort out my pieces. And I'm also going to turn off the music because for some reason Alexa has turned on the music while I started talking. So I don't want a copyright issue. So I'm going to tell her to turn right back off. Um, and then I'm going to sort these off, and then we'll start again. But also I'm going to pull you in closer so you can actually see all my beautiful work. Okay, what I've done is place a lot of these items directly over their pattern piece, uh, just so I can not have to concentrate so much. You can see right through the fabric without my light box. You can see all the writing of the pattern, and you can see Mary up here. You won't be able to see Christmas because I think I have it down too far. The original concept on the laser cut applique is to give people the look of applique without doing all of that long work. A lot of times, especially with seasonal items like this, you wouldn't want to have to do needle turn applique for 6 months or 9 months only to have something hang in the house for a few weeks. Also, if you wanted to give gifts to the grandkids and you had 12 grandkids or 24 grandkids, you wouldn't have enough time in your lifetime to make one for all of them if you had to needle turn everything. Uh, and we also have all of these younger people coming into the world of quilting, and they want to feel the sense of accomplishment without learning every single skill that we all have. So these laser cut appliques are a really great way to accomplish all of those different things uh, while still giving you a really beautiful product. What laser cut applique is fabric that is fused with Steam 2 on the back. Steam 2 is a fusible product that is sandwiched between paper and, well, actually 2 sheets of paper. And then they peel off one piece of paper and attach it to the fabric. And what we do is then peel off the back piece of paper. And I don't know if you can see that glistening product on the back. That is the fusible. And the paper peels off pretty quick, pretty easily. And when you peel that off, all you have to do is place it right on the pattern where it says to. And I don't have any problem, never had any problem peeling off these papers. But if you do, the easy thing to do is just to take a pen or a seam ripper or something. Ooh, my pen is bent. Um, and you can score the back of the paper with the needle or the seam ripper, and that tears the paper a little bit. And when you bend it, it gives you something to grab hold of to tear the paper off. But like I said, I don't usually have a problem getting the paper off of the back. The other thing that I will tell you, there is some residual tackiness on the back of these papers. For that reason, I like to stick them onto something so I can get them to the garbage can without them falling on the floor and kind of sticking. Now, I've done these videos over and over and over again, so many of you probably heard me say these same things. I think I could almost say them in my sleep. Now, applique has always been one of my favorite methods of quilting. It's one of the first things that I wanted to learn when I started quilting. It's one of the things that drew me to quilting to begin with. It's one of the types of quilts that I find most eye-catching. Any quilt that has applique in it is a winner to me. And then when you factor in Christmas, then you have winner, winner, chicken dinner, because Christmas is my favorite holiday. The nice thing about the fusible, it will stick where you place it, but it's not permanent. It's just tacky. So it will stay on the fabric if you move the fabric around, but you can reposition it. That's why we chose Steam 2 as our fusible product. And I'm just kind of going down from the top of the tree here, since that's how I'm positioned. I usually find that these little coily doodads are easiest if I start at the bottom to get them in position. There are a lot of ways that you could do this with groups of people and different age groups. If you have really young kids, you could just use the fabric pieces and the paper background as a puzzle and let them see if they can find the uh, position for each of the pieces using the color cover sheet as a guide. And they could place the pieces as an activity on the paper. If they're a little bit older, they could actually help you peel the papers off and put those into the correct position on the background fabric. And if they're older yet, they could even help you fuse them with the iron if they're able to do that safely. Also, if you have a girls' night out or a girls' night in, you could buy several of these and you could all do them together, because essentially you wouldn't have to know anything about quilting to do this. Anybody that could peel a piece of paper and place it uh, in position really could do this. And it would be something that they could take home with them, which, would be pretty awesome. Now, we have put these on things that are not just quilted products. Uh, this fusible web will work on wood, glass, metal, uh, burlap, canvas. So you could put it on a backpack, a lampshade, a glass window, a wooden box. So as I said, somebody could put this onto something. Now you're not going to be able to see through a wooden box, so you would have to use the pattern guide just visually. But you could put it on something and let people take them home as finished gifts. Um, when you would be fusing it, if you couldn't use an iron on that particular item, you could use a blow dryer and use a tea towel to hold it in place while it's cooling. But you do have to remember that you have to use steam. Just as the name indicates, steam is steam too. It does require steam for the fusing component. When you use steam and you fuse it properly, this is a permanent product. And just like those products I mentioned, even on a quilt, Steam 2 does not require top stitching to be permanent. I know a lot of people think they have to edge stitch around every piece, and that is not the case. If you fuse properly, at the time that you fuse these in place, you do not have to top stitch. Now, we always quilt our samples, which means we would quilt an overall pattern, but we are not edge stitching. And as long as we fuse this properly, when we get to that point, these are permanent. And I'm sure you've seen me do the apron with the gobble gobble on it that is we've made and washed dozens of times, and we've dried dozens of times, and it has no top stitching on it. Absolutely no top stitching. Now, I did lay these out ahead of time, my little pieces, but you can see how quickly this goes. Now, if you added in some hot cocoa or glasses of wine and some girl talk, maybe this would take a little bit longer. I'm not advocating gossiping. I'm just saying that it might take a little bit longer. It's so quiet down here. I've used 2 different kinds of insulation, and it's almost like being in one of those quiet rooms. Now, normally when I'm down here, I have music playing. But you all don't like that when I have music. When I finally get finished, I've got some plans. I've got some plans for you and me. We're going to do some different things. Some things we haven't done before. I've already started making some lists. Many of you know that we do sales on the applique, well, on every category, I think twice a year. So it's a good idea to keep an eye out for those. And the best way to keep track of that is to sign up for our email list. If you do that, the only thing that we really send out on the email list are when we have sales. So I don't think you could ask for better on that. We don't send out a bunch of annoying information because we're not annoying people. Uh-oh, I pulled something off. I'll get it. See, I told you they're sticky. That's why I like to stick them down, because if they fall on the floor, they're kind of hard to sweep up. I have some really beautiful blue snowflake batik Christmas fabrics, so I'm probably will pick out one of those to do as a border at some point. It may not be tonight. Aren't you amazed at how fast this is going? Of course, it really did help that I had everything kind of floating over where it belongs. It also helps that we have this color cover sheet. If you ever get confused, because some of these shapes are identical but reversed. Some of them are the same size but different colors. So it helps to have the color cover sheet to reference to if you have a confusion about a particular piece. This, I think, is the very longest one. And if one of these is off a hair, it's not going to make a huge difference. And you can always stand back and look at it. And if you feel like there's not enough space between uh, two of the shapes, you can always pick them up and reposition them. Anybody have any new favorite designers? I've only recently discovered Tilda fabrics, and I've really kind of been in love with that. In a way, they remind me of, well, some of them anyway, remind me of Robin Pandolf's vintage florals. Not all of them, of course. Um, some of them are a little bit on a different vein from that. And then also, I like, I think her name's Anna Maria Horner, maybe. She has some really bright floral fabrics. But my problem is I'm so busy with everything else, I don't have time to sew, and so I'm kind of just flooded with desire and no fulfillment. And that, just gets you in trouble. Well, I should say that just gets me in trouble. maybe you're not as bad as I am. I just keep wanting to buy things because I'm frustrated. I'll end up with 10,000 kits by the time I'm finally settled in down here. On that note, my electrician finally came this week and changed over the breakers, all the breakers in the house, in the studio. They all had to be changed out to AFCI, GFCI breakers. And I think this is, well, I ended up having to buy breakers 3 different times for this project. That's a story for another day. So now that he's done that, I can hand in the revised electrical diagram for the basement, for the studio, and proceed with the inspection. Some of you are probably wondering, what in the world is he talking about? We're down to the final 3 here. Now, in all my past videos, I have used a dry iron, and I usually use a Silpat, which I still might pull out of the drawer here. But today I have a steam iron, something new. One of the reasons why I don't mind switching is because there's actually no moisture in the iron the way there's no water in the iron, only steam. Oh, I wrinkled my fabric. That was my fat belly. So at this point I can pull away the paper and cast that aside. And I can lay this so that I can get it all on the board. Make sure that's all flat. And I'm going to fold this up and get it into the garbage. And then I can go ahead and steam. This being an actual steam iron, this is a Rowenta Compact Steam Pro. This is really going to force the steam through the fusible web all the way through. Now on this particular pattern, there is no overlapping of any of the pieces. But if there were, this would help get that fusible web with the steam all the way through there. Normally, I would always say that we want to fuse it from the front and the back. I don't feel like I have to iron it quite as long when I'm using this particular iron. But as I've said, this is the point here, this process is when we either fuse it properly or we don't. We either win or fail here. If we are top stitching or edge stitching or quilting and we're getting gumming on the needle, that's an indication that we did not fuse properly at this stage. There should be no residual fusible material left to come off of the product onto the needle. You cannot overfuse steam and steam 2, so it's not like it's going to evaporate. That's not something you have to worry about. At this point, I know that I've got steam on every portion of the product. So I can, if I can reach, pull out my silicone sheet. This just really helps so that if I push the iron side to side, the edge of the iron does not catch the edge of the applique shape and crinkle it up. When that happens, the crinkled up shape is then underneath the iron and you can't see it under the sole plate. And so you're making a mess and you're not really seeing it. The other thing is that the silicone sheet keeps uh, any fusible web from coming out from the side of the applique shape and getting onto your sole plate. It also keeps anything off of the sole plate from transferring onto your applique or your background. It's also a little, I don't know why I did that. It's not going to transfer through. The heat also is insulated a little bit with the silpat. So it does give you a little bit of insurance that you don't scorch the background of the fabric. And after I have ironed this to my complete satisfaction, I will flip this block over and iron it again from the back, because I do want to make sure that we have fused it completely and properly, because this is the moment. There used to be an old toast at the bar that I worked at. Oh, it went something like this. Here's to it and from it and to it again. You better do it when you get to it, because you never know if you'll get to it to do it again. And that's kind of the same with this fusible web. So you better do it when you get to it, because you never know if you'll get to it to do it again. So I'm completely fusing this again from the back with steam to make sure that the steam goes all the way through the product. It's the steam that activates the fusible web product and makes it fusible. And if we get this right now, this will be permanent for the rest of its live long life. And there you have it. A very Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me tonight in my little winter wonderland that I have here, and for helping me with my little Merry Christmas project. This is going to be my Christmas tree for this year. But I hope it's not a blue Christmas like that kind of Christmas. I just hope it's a beautiful, glistening blue holiday Christmas, a festive blue Christmas. So we need to be making plans for next year, coming up with new video ideas and happy thoughts. Remember to check on the people in your life that you know to be living alone. The holidays can be especially lonely for those people. They may say they're fine, but check anyway. Um, and take care of each other.